month. Anyone got a question? What was that?
Why did you kill Ray?
Thanks for being patient, everybody.
No problem.
As long as you don't cut it short, we don't mind.
Yeah, that's me. Although that's me.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We're just waiting on Guy and Robert to come down from upstairs where they're doing press and photos, but really pleased that David just bounded down of his own accord and thrilled to have him here in the house this evening.
I just wanted a little bit of me time before you.
We haven't seen each other for a couple of months, so this is when we meet on stages in front of people.
Precisely the place to be.
Absolutely.
Now, I think that the people sitting here need very little introduction from me, and you've also just had the privilege of seeing the fantastic film, The Rover. We're really thrilled to have David, Robert and Guy here tonight to talk about the film. I'm going to start, David, by asking you something about the background of the development of the film. Given I understand the script that you were working before you actually made Animal Kingdom. And for me, I think it's a really terrific, powerful and very tense kind of Western that has little nods here and there to films like Mad Max and of course the wonderful Australian classic Waking Fright that we had the great privilege of presenting the restoration print here a few months back. But it also creates its very own distinct universe and one that has its own kind of quite coherent logic. So what prompted this particular story, and can you tell us about how you developed it?
Yeah, I wrote the first draft of it before I made Animal Kingdom. Originally, Joel Edgerton and I were in LA and we were just kind of, well, I was just bored. And frightened. I'm sure Joel had some things to do. But, and we just started throwing around ideas for a movie that we thought maybe his brother Nash would direct. And because Nash, being a stuntman and a great practitioner of action cinema, we thought we'd be writing a sort of action movie in the desert type thing with cars, and I went away to write a first draft and then almost immediately started writing a David Demisho movie rather than a Nash Edgerton movie, which doesn't have any, my one doesn't have any car chases in it except for that one at the beginning. It's like I literally started writing a Nash movie and then I fuck it. Yeah, and then I went and made Animal Kingdom, spent a fair bit of time trying to work out what to do next. Just looking at all, suddenly my life turned upside down. I was just looking at the landscape, what my new landscape was like, and then, but always had in the back of my head the idea, I really wanted to do this one. I wanted to do this one because Animal Kingdom was was kind of a big, dense, sprawling sort of tapestry of characters, and rather than try and do something like that or even bigger than that, I decided that I loved the idea of this. It would allow me the opportunity to play in a tonal world that was dissimilar to Animal Kingdoms, just kind of darkness and menace and tension and sadness. But that would operate very differently on a formal level, that it's something really lean and elemental and almost like a kind of dark, violent fable. just a tiny number of characters in a vast empty landscape. End sentence.
Can I ask both Guy and Robert, Guy, you have a long history, I think, of working with real risk-taking, visionary directors like John Hillcoat, Catherine Bigelow, Chris Nolan, and Robert, this is something I think we're seeing beginning to develop too in your career, 2 films now with David Cronenberg and upcoming projects with Herzog and also Anton Corbijn. Can I ask both of you to talk a little bit about the importance, I guess, of that relationship with a visionary director and how you forged that, and also what attracted each of you to this particular film?
Well, it's a great question, because ultimately I think as an actor you realise once you start working that so much of, you have all the ideas about what you want to do, and you have sort of versions of a character that you want to play, and you really want to feel safe and secure and inspired by your director, and really just by the experience that you're having on set. And it sort of occurred to me after a number of films that if you don't get that, you're sort of at a loss, and you're kind of fighting. You're fighting to sort of have your say, and you're fighting to be interesting, unique, individual. You're just fighting to kind of have your voice heard, I suppose. And then you get lucky, and you work with Curtis Hanson, or you work with Chris Nolan, or Tom Hooper, or John Hillcoat, or David Misha. And you start to realise that the inspiration and the excitement about everything that you find within yourself regarding what you have to offer can be supported, and not only supported but encouraged, and sort of with sort of great enthusiasm by great directors. And not to suggest that I can only work with great directors, but it's so much better working with a great director than a crap one. Let's be honest. I can be pretty bad at times, and if I'm with a crap director, then then I'm going to be pretty bad. So I think as an artist and as a performer, as an actor, you really want to find somebody who's going to go, I'm there with you. Any crazy shit you want to try, I support you all the way. If it's not right for the movie, I'm going to say to you, but if it's right for the movie, then fucking great. We've gone somewhere that, we normally wouldn't. And so you then start to seek that out. After 10, 20 years in the industry, you start to go, oh, well, I only really want to work with good, interesting directors, And David emailed me or called me, I can't remember exactly, and said, I've got this script. And I was like, oh my God. So I'd worked with David on Animal Kingdom, and clearly was a fan of his style and his sort of, he's unique, he has a unique sense of timing and character development and story realisation and all those little intricacies that are sort of there in a film that a lot of people kind of skim over and kind of fuck up, just because I don't know how so many filmmakers are really not very interesting. Because it takes a lot of effort to make a film, And I'm surprised by the amount of people that have a lot of chutzpah, but don't have the talent to back it up, And then you come across someone like John Hillcoat or David, obviously, and you go, oh, thank God, you're sort of tasting the food that you want to be tasting, And you move forward, and you kind of develop, and you feel as an artist you progress, and it starts to feel like the only way to work. I saw a great interview with Nicole Kidman where she sort of went, all I do now is just seek out the great directors, because I know they're going to bring out the best in me. Mm-hmm. And I know when I did LA Confidential, and people say to me, oh, congratulations, great performance or whatever, and I go, I had nothing to do with that performance. Curtis Hanson got that performance out of me. And I think that's when you know it's exciting, when a director gets something out of you that you don't even know exists, you know, as opposed to going, it's all right, I'll give you look number 2, I'll give you look number 7. yeah, absolutely, whatever you want. You know.
Robert, how many looks have you got in your bag?
It's a pretty good one though, isn't it? That one look.
But seriously, is it a similar kind of impulse that attracts you to work on a project like this?
Yeah, I mean, I met David when I'd seen the teaser trailer for Animal Kingdom. It's like a 90-second with what's his name? The Airsa player, the Amor a Love, the Airsa person. And from that, I was like, I don't work with that guy. And then I saw the shorts after, it was such a great trailer. And you could just tell, the thing about, what I'm saying about timing, a very specific sense of timing. And I met him, and then the script came, and it's just like ridiculous. The script's ridiculous. And
In what way?
In a good way. The spelling was bad.
another level of
Pictures.
But yeah, I don't know. It made you want to. It was, I guess, out of anyone's comfort zone. I think when me and Guy started doing it, it was a very unusual script. And but yeah, from Animal Kingdom, from the shorts and stuff, I just knew. Yes, I was doing it. It's trust. It's like the whole thing is just trust. You're saying about the Nicole. There's like 20 directors in the world who any actor should work with, and there are some you can forget about.
I'm assuming they weren't. Sorry, I get what you're saying. You work your way up towards it. Happy it is, happy.
One of the things that I really love about the film is the sort of tension between this very exterior world and the very interior world of both your characters. I want to ask David first just about, because the Australian landscape is such a character in this film as well, but when you're working on such powerful kind of evocative locations, the degree to which design is also in there is kind of maybe less visible, and yet this is a really highly designed film as well. Can you talk about how you approach that sort of combination of elements, if you like?
Well, everything is secondary to the people playing the characters and the places that they're playing them in. It's like cast and locations are the first thing for me. You know, I don't want to disparage the contribution that all the other heads of the department bring, but I think they would probably say the same thing. As soon as you know who's going to play the characters and where they're going to be playing them, then everything else fits itself around those things. And so, when we get out there, in terms of my work with Natasha Breyer, the cinematographer, it was very much, servicing those landscapes, which are both incredibly intimidating and impressive and hauntingly beautiful at the same time. So for instance, didn't want to push the look of the film too hard. We wanted it to look, but oppressive and beautiful, but we didn't want it to have a kind of look. Jo Ford, for instance, it was in a lot of respect, the production designer, she was just about augmenting the world of it. But a lot of those towns are, I look at Marie, the town where we spent the last 3 weeks of the shoot. I was watching the film just tonight and going, I wonder if people think that we did a whole lot of visual effects work to this town, all of the busted buildings and stuff. That's what that town looks like. It's amazing. Is that the kind of thing you want to do?
Can I ask you, Robert? I think it's a really terrific performance, and you really play a character that, in a sense, is kind of, folding in on himself, and an extremely interior character. How, when I guess we're used to thinking about performance as something that's projecting outwards, how do you, work with that?
That's something to probably that this is me at my max of expressing myself. I thought I was being really effusive.
Always good to a pattern.
Sorry, but how?
No, it's okay. I guess I'm just interested in how, when you're playing to a camera, but you're clearly working on something that's very internal in terms of what you're projecting. So how do you sort of, wrestle with that, if you like?
I mean, as I started doing it, when we were doing the scene, I mean, Eric has such a kind of, as Guy was playing it, it's such a constant focus and energy, and so and very, very singular, especially in the scenes which I have with you, and so you don't really have to. It's your content sounds really ridiculous, but you're constantly being penetrated.
The actors, the caterers, pretty much everyone in
Ray's like super reactive, and so it's kind of, it was kind of falling apart the whole time. I don't know how much of it was a conscious decision, because it's just someone he's been told his whole life that he's not allowed to speak. And so even when Eric is aggressively saying, "Speak, you're an idiot," it's still the first time he's actually required to speak. So it takes. I don't even know what I'm saying.
absolutely right. I mean, I just think that
You're saying you didn't want to be penetrated. You did get the performance around not wanting to be penetrated. Which actually makes a lot of sense.
I'm sick of it.
No more penetration.
I'm going interior.
So can I ask you how?
yes, I want a condom. Yes, it's all very safe.
So how did you develop these characters together? Were you actually, doing a lot of rehearsal work together, or were you?
I know. Well, I mean, the script really, on some level, the script said it all. Obviously, I had a lot of questions for David. Because of the nature of the character that I play, we find him at a point in his life where he's sort of everything's stripped away and he's kind of a shell of the version that he used to be. So David and I had a lot of conversations because I was useless at trying to find out who this guy was, So there was that going on. David and I had that going on. And we rehearsed, the three of us, in a hotel room in Adelaide for like a week before we headed off up the highway to the Flinders Ranges. And during that period, I mean, the interesting thing about the relationship that Rob and I have in the film is that it develops as the film goes together, which is kind of, we're actors, we just do that. But we kind of, I mean, Rob and I developed a relationship naturally as the film went on. And I think that we didn't necessarily develop anything together specifically prior, but we were certainly both, kind of asking David questions, and it was just as interesting for me to hear Rob ask David a question and get an answer about his character as it was for me to get an answer about my character. And as Rob was saying earlier today, that during that rehearsal period, it was just as interesting for him to hear me and David talking about, the sort of beginning nature of my character in the film, etc. Just because I think, to speak on your behalf, I think, anytime you make a film, you sort of want to know the big picture as well, even if you're not in those first 20 scenes or whatever it happens to be. You just really want to understand the world that you're entering, and you do that pretty quickly before you start any movie. I mean, it was a bit of a luxury to have a week even in a hotel room together,
Yeah.
penetrating each other like you wouldn't believe. No room service, nothing.
The nice thing about this basically being a two-hander in a way is
I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Gone to this level. I never would have flown over from Australia had I known. Face. But anyway, here we are. Carry on.
anyway. The nice thing about this being a two-hander was that it meant that almost that time we did get to rehearse was like a kind of like a theatre rehearsal where this is the thing I love. I wish that all people could rehearse all movies like theatre where all of your cast are there all the time to talk about everybody's characters, you know, and there's no sense that if you spend a day talking and your character doesn't get spoken about or you don't get your scene up on its feet, you don't sit there feeling like you're having your time wasted because everyone needs to know everything about everything. You never get to do that in movies. If you just go, you know, someone of second AD will come up to you and say, okay, so well, today you've got this actor from there, this one from there, and that one from there. What combination of shit are you going to do?
Yeah, and a location recce, and
yeah,
you've got to look at the cast.
So I also try to fold all of the rehearsal into, you know, the stuff of us sitting in a hotel room penetrating each other is great. But I also like to... I thought it was fun. It was new, I was discovering. You know, again, I don't really know how other directors work. I get the impression that while actors are in having costume fittings or hair and makeup or whatever, that they go, you go do that because I'm off doing a really important meeting or something. I like to be, for me, as important as rehearsal is following the actors around during that stuff. They're going in to have a hair and makeup test or whatever, I'll be sitting there with them for an hour.
It's really annoying. No one does that. It's crazy.
I love talking about the character.
I don't know why I feel like
I love talking about the character through the lens of the haircut. You know, we had a lot of conversations about your multi-silly haircut.
The jeans.
And jeans.
Jeans and the shorts. Yeah. Well, and that stuff it's important. All that sort of detail is so important ultimately, and you know, clearly as a visionary, you've got to be there for all of that. It is funny when you do a film and some directors go, yeah, whatever you wear, whatever you want. I don't care. Whatever. You go, okay, bro. You don't care. David's there for all of it.
Yeah, I just like watching them undress.
Before you put the shorts back on, if I penetrate just one at a time.
Before this descends into its entire smart, I'm going to open up to the floor because I could hold the Q&A space for quite some time, and I know there'll be questions out there. So if you do have a question, we've got roving mics. Could you put up your hand and wait until one gets to you? Yeah, first one at the back here.
Alright, the question's for Rob. I just wanted to say that the film was amazing and I really enjoyed it. But as well, I wanted to ask, like, your characters that you played in the past, such as Edward Cullen and obviously Eric Packer, and such a, like, they're so different from each other. How do you, like, get into that kind of role, you know, because you obviously have to change your character however often you film, so it must be difficult for you. And also, could you wish me happy birthday? Because I was 21 yesterday.
You're not from Old Swan, are you, by any chance?
Hello, I'm from the Wiggle. Which is like over the water from there.
Back in it.
You're trying to show off. Well, happy birthday to the women. I don't know. I mean, you know, different scripts. The last 5 scripts I've done, they were all just kind of so striking when you read them. And basically, like, I mean, with the Rover, I kind of knew sort of what I wanted to do. Well, not exactly what I wanted to do, but like, I mean, just the way it read. As soon as you read it on the page, it was so specific. The pages got such a specific style of writing dialogue that it just starts happening. You know, I don't really think about anything particularly consciously until afterwards. I mean, a lot of the stuff, performance-wise, you only really realize, you know, you're reading and you do all this weird stuff, and just because it feels good, and then kind of think of some reason to justify it afterwards. It's like, oh, yeah, he's got bad teeth because he's one of those kids that brush his teeth when he's a kid. I just want him to have bad teeth.
I flew right after the collab.
Yeah, but everyone else has good teeth.
I was the one that we flew right.
Yeah, I cleaned my teeth a lot before the collapse. Well, I thought that destroys my whole argument. Yeah. I'm actually just schizophrenic.
Hi guys. This question's for Guy and Rob. What did you enjoy most about being a part of this film?
Penetration. I don't know why that's
Well, I think it's, you know, it's the whole experience, really. You know, as I said before, you know, as an actor, you're looking for interesting directors and interesting work, and you look back at the work that you've done, and you know, you hope that it's work that resonates with people and with yourself. You know, you want it to be just as affecting for yourself as for an audience. And I think that, you know, personally, and it's always hard to talk about David in front of David, but, you know, he's a really special filmmaker, and I think just being part of the world that he creates is it's really special and personally really important for me.
Yeah, just working on something where everyone cares a lot about about what they're doing. I mean, everybody in the crew, you know, no one, even by the end of it, no one was sick of each other or anything. I think everyone was very excited, and it's, you know, it's very rare in any field to have even 3 months doing that. Yeah, David was saying at the end, it was like standing in the middle of the parking lot. And I was saying, and I asked him, what was up? And he was like, I just want to appreciate this day, because I'm only going to have a finite number, 6 or 7 more than I don't want to limit you. But I need 6 or 7 more of these days in my life, probably. I just want to appreciate it. And that was the first director I've worked with who kind of did that, and when they were rapping, I think most people just wanted to run away or kill themselves.
I wanted to kill myself. I also wanted to psych it.
David, there's something very interesting that comes out of that from my perspective, because you know, having had the privilege of knowing you for a lot of years now, and having a sense of how you've developed as a filmmaker, collaboration has been a really important part of that. And you know, you mentioned the writing the script with Joel, but there's a kind of core bunch of you who are always working on each other's films, supporting each other develop. You know, can you tell us about that value of collaboration for you in that filmmaking process?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's the little gang that you know, otherwise known as Blue Tongue Films, that I made a lot of shorts with, and you know, and still kind of, you know, I'm still working with Joel, and the whole other thing that I'm writing with Joel at the moment. And it gets a little bit harder, but as now that we're all kind of, you know, playing in the big pool, it gets a little bit harder because it soaks up a lot of our time. The shorts were kind of much easier. We just got, you know, someone asked you to help, and it was maybe tops a couple of weeks of your time, and then you're out. Now it's months and months and months, so it becomes more difficult. But I find that sort of collaboration everywhere now in different ways with different people. I'm a person who doesn't leave the house unless I absolutely have to. And the thing I love about making movies is that it drags me out of the house, and I get to work with really talented people. You know, it's fun. I love it. It's like and the beauty of making movies too is that, you know, we'd say rehearsal, like, what is rehearsal? Really, it's just people sitting in a room talking about life, you know, remembering when I did this thing, or, you know, whatever, just finding a way of filtering the abstract of what you're about to do, filtering it through your own experiences, and I love that stuff. That's, you know, I mean, in a way, it's like me. It's like, you know, these become my relationships. I have to pay people to be my friends. What a weird thing to say.
David will pay all of you. Hang around for another hour. It's a lot of money to be made.
Sadly, we don't have another hour. I think I'm sad about that. But what I would just like to wrap with, I think one of the really exciting things for me as a total fangirl of the Western, and having seen this film start its life at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, where Tommy Lee Jones had his new Western, The Homesman, Christian Levering had his new film, The Salvation. I'm kind of out there barracking for the return of the Western, and I'm wondering whether each of you has a favourite Western.
Yeah, I think Andrew Dominik's The Assassination of Jesse James is the best film of the last 20 years. I just love that movie so much. I've seen it 20 times now, and I think it's a masterpiece.
You need to get out of the house.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. I mean, I was a fan of Unforgiven. You know, I thought this film Unforgiven was pretty special. But no, that's really it's great. And then we did a film called The Proposition in Australia a few years ago that everybody talked about as being a sort of a Western. I've never really been overly aware of the Western genre, to be honest. And having done 2 Australian films now that people keep sort of saying is, fall into that sort of genre. It's interesting. One being in the 1880s and one being, slightly in the future. So, but yeah, as a film that I'm not in, probably Unforgiven.
And for you, Robert?
I always love The Searchers. And I always think it's Tombstone.
Yay!
I directed that. I think we directed Tombstone.
I'm going to look like on this myself. Anyone?
Please, can I just ask?
Who was it?
George Cosmatos.
There you go.
George Cosmatos.
The winning cinephile in the audience.
Did he go on to have a big career, or?
Because there was a rumour he didn't actually direct it, it's just his name on it, and it's directed by Kurt Russell.
Right.
It's just a rumour.
There you go. This lady would like to ask a question.
Please, could I ask if the 3 gentlemen would accept paintings that I've done?
Oh.
Bless
Very
her.
nice. Thank you very much.
Dean and Rob, those are you big animals from the Water
Well, thank you very much.
Same.
David, Robert, Guy, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been a real personal pleasure to have you here, and we wish you all the best for the life of the film.
All right. Thank you.